Aloha mai kako, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to a new work week and the final week of the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Month. My name is Moana McAdams, and I am the founder and host here at the Moana Nui podcast. Also, the children's author of The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea children's book series, editor of the Wildcard Chronicles comic book series, publisher at Burning Spear Comics, and lover and champion of our indigenous people. Tonight, I am joined with my wonderful co-host, Dana.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited. This is our last day of our restaurant highlights that we've been doing. If you're new to the Moana Nui podcast, on the month of May, we were highlighting restaurants all over the U.S. that are locally owned by AANHPIs around the U.S. And for those that may or may not know me, I am Dana. I am a cosplay con staff and event photographer. You've probably seen my photography with Dragon Con, MomoCon, and even with DC Comics. And I'm also a voice actor and event planner. And now I'd love to hand it back over to my lovely co-host, Moana.
Alrighty, guys. So tonight we are doing a restaurant highlight. This particular restaurant is located in Hawaii, and the name of it is the Waiahole Poi Factory, owned by Liko Hoi. And unfortunately, it looks like we had a schedule conflict this evening, so they won't be able to join us. Oh, there he is. Look. Sorry, Kalamai. Aloha, Liko.
Aloha.
How are you today?
Good. Yeah, Kalamai, I had logged in, but I don't know if it was a different login or something. The thing had me on, but I was just kind of in that backstage.
Oh, shucks. Okay. Well, you front stage now, brother. So I was just going to do your intro. So we'll do that. And then we will ask you some questions about your wonderful restaurant. So the Waiahole Poi Factory houses over 100 years of Hawaiian tradition built into its walls. It was originally constructed in 1905 and ran as a full poi factory for almost 70 years until 1971. In the 70s, it was closing as a poi factory, but its essence was revived and turned into an art gallery by Liko's parents, Charlene and Calvin Hoy, where they ran it as the art gallery for a decade into the 80s. And then after that, it underwent another transformation when his parents, along with others from Waiahole Valley, refurbished the kitchen and other areas of the factory to allow it again to return to its roots of producing poi. During that time, until about 2009, the factory served as an incubator kitchen for local families to rent out and try different food processing ideas. So with a deeper mission to revive the factory, to create a place that would share Hawaiian culture through food, while also supporting the farmers and maintaining an agricultural presence in Waiahole Valley to nourish vital Hawaiian agricultural traditions, which is amazing to me. So they went back to their roots and they turned the place into a full homemade Hawaiian food and hand-pounded poi restaurant. And their goal is to create a place where traditions and cuisine of genuine Hawaii could be preserved and shared. That's so important because as many of these genuine Hawaiian-owned businesses that we can support and help them stay alive and continue and perpetuate our culture is amazing. So they live by the motto, Hanai Ike, Ai Hanai Ike Aloha. Its essence is translated as to nourish with food, to nourish with love. This mantra is at the heart of Hawaiian belief that traditional food and locally sourced ingredients, which support the local farmers, are not simply just for nourishment, they also serve a deeper purpose as a spiritual connection to keep the culture alive and the traditions of the Hawaiian people. So I know that was a little bit long, but I wanted to say because it's so important. Food is such um, a critical part of Hawaiian culture, and particularly one where we are still pounding it, and continuing a lot of our cultural traditions. So, mahalo, Liko, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, mahalo. Mahalo to you guys.
Yeah. So, we heard a little bit about the restaurant and your family's ties to it. What are some of the like, are there some favorites that is recipes from your parents? Like, what are the top sellers at your restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically we have the classic luau foods. So we got pretty much your standards of what you're gonna find at the luau. Kalua pig, lau lau, squid luau, beef luau, chicken long rice. Sorry, some of our our chickens out there making some noise. But really the one of the items that we serve that people really um, come for a lot is our what we call a Sweet Lady of Waiahole, which is our kulolo, and we serve that with haupia ice cream. And that it becomes addictive sometimes.
That sounds amazing.
Mhm.
So like every restaurant has like a dish that sets them apart. Is that the one, or what do people like automatic they come back for that you guys make?
Right. I would say the Sweet Lady of Waiahole is probably the main one that people have in their minds. But I think also our poi, we have both milled and hand pounded, and especially our hand pounded poi is kind of unique. It's not something that you're gonna find too often. Although one of the things that to me is really hopeful is that it's actually becoming more common. For people to be hand pounding poi, even just for their families often. So I think that's to me that's those are some of the things that we're known for.
Right on. So tell us a little bit about the poi pounding tradition and how important that is to Hawaiian culture, and a little bit about your family's connection to the Aina.
Sure, yeah. So you know, basically traditionally most people were farmers, and in Hawaii the main farm, main produce was kalo,
Mhm.
and really that's that's what we call the ai. And in Hawaiian, ai of course means to eat, and it
Mhm.
means food in general. But if you get a little bit more specific, it actually means the starch food. And I think a lot of local people can relate to that in the sense that today our main starch food is rice, and just like for local people today, if you don't have rice with the meal, it's really not authentic. It's not really a meal. And traditionally that would have been the same, but of course the poi was the taro and the poi, and actually poi can be almost any traditional starch that's pounded like that. So you can make poi with uala, sweet potato. You can make
Mm.
poi with breadfruit, even banana. But in Hawaii, the main poi was uh, kalo. Even when we start to get flour coming in, Hawaiian, there's still families. I know aunties that still remember making what they call poi palawa, which is poi made out of flour.
Mm.
Yeah, and really, it's it's the I like to say that it was the fuel of Hawaiian society. That's the carbohydrate. That's where the main calories came from. That really sustain our people. Of course, in our tradition, in our genealogy, it was so important that the the first kalo clan, is actually the older sibling, yeah,
Right.
of the kanaka, of the human being, since it is a very close connection.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Um, so we talked a little bit about your ohana. What for your family, in the time when you were growing up, were you still actively in the patch, or was that something that because I know like the kids these days, it's like, oh, too much hard work, and so it's kind of sad to see in at least in some parts of Kauai where I'm from, like a lot of the old family patches have been like overgrown,
Right.
with the elephant grass and everything. But for you and your generation, were you folks still active in the patch?
Yeah. So for when I was born in the mid 70s, kind of right, 74 was when I was born, and in Hawaii, that time period was the time of kind of relearning, yeah, revival of
Mm-hmm.
Hokulea was right in there. Our language schools was right in there, and definitely my parents, when they got the Poi Factory, they're actually coming back from college, and actually they went to the Peace Corps, and so they were coming back to Hawaii, and they came back right in that time, and our family, um, like most families in Hawaii, again, came from farming traditions. So the aina that I'm from, that our family is from, and that I'm very lucky to still live in, which is in kind of right down the road from Waiahole, Hakipu'u. Um, and all the way to Waiahole. On Oahu, we're really lucky in the sense that we're not too heavily developed yet, and so the Waiahole Poi Factory and the area that we come from was one of the last places to stop growing taro, but it had the taro all the way up to the 70s, which for Oahu is kind of rare. Um,
Right.
but you still have kind of that gap, and so when my parents came back, they were part of restarting, and eventually myself, I kind of grew up in that regaining that knowledge of planting, and that's for me, that's a continual process, and actually that's one of the things that I'm focusing in on now is growing more of our own taro. Like you
Mm.
mentioned, Hawaii is really the main producer of kalo, and it's been like that for a while already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we bring a lot of our taro in from Kauai. We also bring from Maui. But what we're trying to do right now is actually, grow more. We have a little bit of our own taro coming in, but we want to keep increasing that amount. And to me, it's not. I don't see Hawaii guys going down at all. I hope that and I think that there's going to be more demand as people learn more about how and reconnect, yeah, um, to those food traditions.
Right on. I'm glad you said that because I was gonna ask like which varieties you guys grow because I know there's so many different strands,
Mhm.
and I think was it last season or the season before? I know Hanalei was like because of all the floods, like I think their whole season was kind of wiped out, which was so sad because it's already so hard to find poi. It's like gold now, so
Yeah, yeah, right, right, exactly.
that's awesome. So so when people go to your restaurant, like what can they expect? Is it a sit down kind of restaurant, or is it more like a lot of, at least the ones that's my favorites, it's like the walk up and then you have like the outside seating area. Are you guys a brick and mortar kind of shop or food
Yes,
truck or
right, right. So we kind of talk about the pre-COVID and post-COVID. So pre-COVID, we had picnic tables outside, basically takeout, but we did have areas to sit. We've pretty much changed that to takeout only now.
okay.
But people will come up. We've implemented some of the online ordering, so you can actually order before and just come and pick up. Um,
Nice.
and you know, part of the experience is the place too. So we still got to sign up, and a lot of times people, even if they're just picking up and grab and go, they still gotta catch the picture. Yeah, still gotta take the picture.
Yes.
And then we're real lucky in the sense that right across the street from us is Waiahole Beach Park, and right down the road is Aloha Beach Park. So there's really a lot of places to enjoy the food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, you're making me miss home. that's how you go to your favorite spot, then you camp at your favorite beach, you eat,
Yes.
and it's just like mona under the tree. I love it. Alrighty. Well, we want to thank Liko Mahalo Nui for coming on the show and helping us showcase our wonderful Hawaiian traditions. It is so special when we get to see Native Hawaiian owned businesses still thriving in our cultural traditions. So you folks have a website. Let me read that off. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Waiahole Poi Factory.com. And you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Waiahole Poi Factory. And any last words before we close out for tonight?
Just mahalo, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. And I think it's important, to a lot of our ohas are not in Hawaii, so
yeah,
really important what you guys are doing, kind of just keeping everybody connected up. So mahalo.
Yeah, absolutely. We post this in the Hawaiian and Pacific history and culture. I want to say it's like 30,000 members. Just people trying to stay connected to the Aina. So hopefully we'll get you guys some new customers, and we'll continue to share you guys out on our website as we continue to build out our podcast. Alrighty.
And before you go, do you want to tell our audience of any specials that they want to be on the lookout when they come out to your restaurant?
Specials, yeah. So we just implemented a Kupuna Wednesday. So if Kupuna 65 and older, they get 20% off of their food.
Nice.
So that's one of the things. And then we did also start on Mondays. We were doing like a kalua pig sandwich. This kind of fun too.
Right.
Awesome. So as y'all all heard, it's some wonderful options, and especially if you're missing home of Hawaii, definitely if you're coming to visit or you have any friends or family that are visiting the islands, have them to go right and check them out to get some true authentic Hawaiian food and enjoy some fresh made poi.
All right. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and for showing love to our wonderful Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander owned restaurants. Mahalo for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next time. Ahui ho.
Oh.